Heaven Official's Blessing. Chapter 31. Audio source: WuShoWorldAudiobook.com. Poking the Ghost King. Crown Prince seeks truth. Once the air froze, Xie Lian knew his question may have crossed the line. Although the past few days the two of them had gotten along well. But if Hua Cheng never revealed his real face, and didn't change back even after his identity was revealed, then he had his reasons, and Xie Lian was in no place to push. Without waiting for his response, Xie Lian widened his smile. "I was just asking, don't take it to heart." Hua Cheng closed his eyes, and after a moment, smiled softly. "I'll let you see it someday, if there's a chance." If anyone else were to say that, then it'd naturally be perfunctory. Someday usually meant, please forget it. But it was Hua Cheng who said those words, so Xie Lian felt someday meant someday, and it will for sure happen. This made him even more curious, and he grinned. "Then I'll wait until the day you can show me. Let's rest for now." After messing around for half the night, Xie Lian had long given up on cooking anything, and returned to the straw mat. Hua Cheng also laid down next to him. No one bothered questioning why, after revealing each other's identities, that a god and a demon could still lay together on a rumpled mat, laughing and chatting, and just hanging out. The straw mat didn't have pillows, so Hua Cheng used his own arm, and Xie Lian imitated him using his own arm too. He chatted casually. "The ghost realm seems so idle. Don't you guys ever need to report back to anything?" Hua Cheng not only had his arm as a pillow, he crossed his legs too, and replied, "Report to whom? We mind our own business. No one bothers with anyone." The ghost realm was formed by many disorganized bands of lost souls and feral demons, so Xie Lian wasn't surprised. "Is that so? I thought it'd be like the heavenly court where there's a central government. So if that's the case, have you met any other ghost kings before?" "I have," Hua Cheng said. "Even the green ghost Qirong? You mean that lowly, vulgar trash? Well, what do I say to that?" Xie Lian thought, but he needn't say anything as Hua Cheng continued. "I greeted him and he ran away." Xie Lian felt this greeting couldn't be your regular kind of greeting, and sure enough, Hua Cheng said casually. "And then I received the title, Crimson Rain Sought Flower. Single quote, quote dot. So when he mentioned wiping out the nest of another demon, he was talking about the green ghost Qirong, and this greeting was annihilation. What an extraordinary greeting, Xie Lian thought. He rubbed his chin and said, "Do you have something against the green ghost Qirong?" "Yes. I don't like his face," Hua Cheng replied. Xie Lian didn't know whether to laugh or cry, thinking, did Hua Cheng challenge those 33 heavenly officials also because he didn't like their faces? Though alas, he didn't ask that question, and only said, "The heavens all call him vulgar, and even the ghost realm rejects him." "Is that true?" "It's true. Even Blackwater is disgusted with him," Hua Cheng replied. "Who's Blackwater?" Xie Lian asked, then recalled. "Oh, is that the one called Blackwater Sinking Boats? Single quote, quote dot. That's right. He's also known as the Blackwater Ghost Sun." Xie Lian remembered that this Blackwater Ghost Sun was also a supreme, but the green ghost Qirong was only almost a supreme. He asked, interested, "Are you close with this ghost Sun?" "No," Hua Cheng replied lazily. "There aren't many in the ghost realm I'm close with." Now Xie Lian was curious. "Is that so? I thought you'd have many subordinates. Maybe our definition of close is different?" Hua Cheng raised his brows. "Yes. In the ghost realm, those lower than supreme have no right to speak to me." It was an exceedingly arrogant statement, but Hua Cheng made it sound so indisputable and self-evident. Xie Lian smiled softly. "Even though you're not close, you still know about them. You have it pretty good in the ghost realm. There's only so many big names, not like the heavens. There's already so many officials to remember in the upper court, and more waiting to ascend in the middle court. They're like an ocean of names. And you risk offending them if you don't remember their names. After chatting for a while, Xie Lian didn't want to dig too deeply into the subject lest they touch on something sensitive, so he changed the topic away from the difference between the two realms. He glanced at the closed wooden door and wondered, "Ban Yu, that child, I wonder when she'll come back in." The bold words, "I want to save the world," returned and reverberated in his head, pouring a million chaotic images in his mind, and Xie Lian had to forcibly push them down. Just then, Hua Cheng spoke up. "Those were good words." "Which ones?" Xie Lian asked. "I want to save the world, the common people," Hua Cheng replied leisurely. Xie Lian was thunderstruck. He flipped around and curled into a shrimp, wishing for another pair of arms so he could cover both his face and his ears, and groaned. "San Lang." Hua Cheng seemed to have nudged closer, and said in a serious tone right behind him. What's wrong with those words?" Hua Cheng wouldn't back down and Xie Lian couldn't win against him, so he flipped back over and said helplessly, "It's silly. What's there to be afraid of?" Hua Cheng said, "To dare speak of the world, whether to save or to destroy, is admirable. The former is harder than the latter, so it's even more respectable." Xie Lian puffed a laugh and shook his head. To dare speak, you have to be able to follow through, and you have to actually achieve it. He covered both his eyes and laid himself flat. "Oh, all right. I suppose that's nothing. What Ban Yu said was already pretty good. I've said sillier things when I was even younger." Hua Cheng laughed. "Oh, like what? Let's hear it." Xie Lian was pensive for a moment, and smiled softly as he chased his memories. Many, many years ago, there was someone who told me they couldn't live on anymore. They asked me for what they were alive, and what was the meaning of their life. He glanced at Hua Cheng. "Do you know how I answered?" It might just be Xie Lian's imagination, but there seemed to be light in Hua Cheng's eyes. He asked gently, "How did you answer?" Xie Lian said, "I told them, if you don't know how to live on anymore, then live for me. If you don't know the meaning to your life, then make me that meaning, and use me as the reason to live. Ha ha." Xie Lian couldn't help but let out a small laugh and shook his head. "Even now I don't understand what I was thinking back then. How did I ever have the courage to tell someone to make me the meaning of their life?" Hua Cheng was silent and Xie Lian continued. "It really was something that could only be said back then. Long ago, I really thought I was invincible and fearless. If you ask me to say the same words now, there is no way they will ever leave my lips again." Xie Lian continued slowly. "I don't know what happened to that person after, but to become someone's reason to live was already a heavy responsibility. How dare I speak of the world?" Silence blanketed inside Puqi Shrine, and after a while, San Lang said softly, something like saving the world. It really doesn't matter how you do it. But, although brave, it's foolish. Yes, Xie Lian agreed. Hua Cheng continued. Although foolish, it's brave. Xie Lian smiled at those words. Thanks. You're welcome, Hua Cheng said. The two stared at the holy ceiling of Puqi Shrine in amicable silence, and Hua Cheng spoke up again. You know, we've only known each other for so many days. Is it all right for you to say so much to me? Xie Lian puffed again and waved his hand. What's the problem? Whatever. Those who have known each other for decades can become strangers in a day. We've met by chance, and we may part by chance. If we like each other, then we shall continue to meet. If we don't, then we shall part. Let's all go more with the flow, and I'll say what I want to say. Hua Cheng chuckled for a bit, and suddenly said, If. Xie Lian turned his head to face him. If. Hua Cheng didn't turn around, but continued to look at the dilapidated ceiling of the shrine, and Xie Lian observed the left side face of the handsome young man. Hua Cheng said softly, If I was ugly, huh? Xie Lian gaped. Hua Cheng finally turned his head slightly. If my real face is ugly, would you still want to see it? Xie Lian was taken aback. Is it? Although there's no real reason, but I think your real face mustn't be that bad. Who knows, Hua Cheng said half-jokingly. What if I'm discolored, disfigured, ugly, monstrous and horrible? What will you do? At first Xie Lian thought this line of inquiry was rather fascinating. So the number one ghost king of the ages, feared by the heavens, would care about his looks. But when he thought about it deeply, he didn't think it very funny anymore. If he remembered correctly, in the many backstories about Hua Cheng, one had said he was a disfigured child from birth, or something along those lines. If that was the case, then he must have grown up discriminated by others. Maybe it was because of this reason that he's sensitive about his looks. Thus, Xie Lian chewed on his words and said, well, he used his warmest, most sincere tone. To be honest, the reason I wanted to see your real face is only because we're sort of friends now, right? See, even now we're here like this. So, if we're friends, then we should be honest with each other. So me wanting to see your real face has nothing to do with how you look. Of course I wouldn't mind if... Why are you laughing? I'm being serious. When Xie Lian reached the last bit of his words, he could feel the boy next to him shaking. At first for a moment he had thought, are my words so moving that he's touched like this? And was too embarrassed to turn around to see. But after a while, the soft laughter from next to him was very obviously leaked out. Xie Lian was bummed. San Lang, why are you laughing so much? Hua Cheng immediately stopped shaking and turned around. Nothing, you're very right. Xie Lian felt even more bummed at those words. You're so insincere. I promise, you won't find another person more sincere than me in this world, Hua Cheng replied. Xie Lian didn't want to talk anymore and threw out Rue. The white silk band fluttered down and landed on them, and he flipped around with his back turned to Hua Cheng. Never mind. Time to sleep. Sleep and don't talk. Hua Cheng chuckled again and said, next time. Even though he was determined to sleep, hearing Hua Cheng speak, Xie Lian couldn't help but reply. What, next time? Hua Cheng whispered. The next time we meet, I will use my real appearance to greet you. There was much to ponder about those words, and Xie Lian should have kept questioning him, but after a long night, an unstoppable drowsiness overtook him. He couldn't hang on and fell deeply asleep. The next morning, when Xie Lian woke, the spot next to him was empty. Perhaps the windstorms had blown him out of his wits. Xie Lian felt a slight headache. He stumbled to get up and dazedly walked around the shrine. When he opened the door, there were no silhouettes to be seen outside. The boy had indeed left. The fallen leaves had been swept into a pile, and next to it was a small clay pot. Xie Lian took the pot inside and placed it on the altar. There was some sand that tumbled onto the table. It must have been sand he carried back from the Gobi Desert. Xie Lian closed the door, undressed and was ready to change. As he was loosening his belt, he suddenly discovered there seemed to be something extra on his chest. Xie Lian raised his hand to touch it, and found just below the cursed collar, there was a very thin chain. The chain was hung loosely, and Xie Lian removed it from his neck. It was a silver chain, thin and light, so he didn't feel there was anything on his body before. And hanging from the chain was a crystal clear ring. End chapter.